Hi, this is Professor Muldrow, and I'm going to show you how to create a simple project in Android Studio. Now, as you may have seen in an earlier video, when you install Android Studio, you get this icon on your desktop. And when you double-click it, you get this window that shows up. To create a new project, you click on the Start a New Android Studio Project link, like this. And this Select a Project template window comes up. For our purposes in this course, you will always want to select Empty Activity. And when you do, you click Next. Now here on the Configure Your Project window, you must give your app a name. The default name is always My Application. Since you always get Hello World when you first create a project, I will just call this Hello. Now this package name is what always gets filled in. That's automatic. But the location is important. I always save my projects on a USB drive, and Android Studio does not save anything to the root or top level directory of that drive. So wherever you want to save it, you need to create at least one folder. Here I've created this. This is a USB drive of mine, drive K, and I've created a COSP230 folder. I also happen to create a second folder called version 4, but you don't need the second folder. As long as you have one folder below the top level, that's where your projects need to go. And as you'll notice, I gave the name of the project Hello, and Hello was filled in automatically. That'll be the folder where your project will be stored. For our purposes in this course, the language will always be Java, although there are two selections, Java or Kotlin, but we will always use Java for the language. And for the minimum SDK, I'm recommending you select Android 4.0.3 Ice Cream Sandwich. That's the best one to use. When you have all this entered, you hit Finish. And now it's going to load the project, and this will take a little while to load. As I've said before, nothing happens quickly with Android Studio. So I'm going to pause. No, I'm not going to pause the recording. I'm just let this finish. Here we're starting to see things show up. Now there are two things that you will see, two tabs you'll see right away. One is called activity_main.xml, and this is where you will see what your project looks like. It'll have like a simulated cell phone, and it will have whatever controls, or as we call them, widgets in your project. The other tab is mainActivity.java. This is where your Java code goes, and here is the Java code that is created automatically for every project. You'll do most of your work here on activity_main.xml. Okay, I am going to pause the recording for just a little bit and let this finish. And when you are finished, here is what you see. This is what you see by default for any project. Here you have your project view, which contains, under the Java folder, a link to main activity. The other important folder here is res, which is short for resources. And under the layout tab, here is activity main_xml. Now about this activity_main.xml file, here I am in the design view, as you can see in the top right. If you click on design, this is what you see. If you click on code, you actually see the XML code that goes into creating this page. And if you click on the split icon, here you can see your XML code, and here you can see your app change. I'm going to go back to the design view. Now let's see, this little thing that says Hello World, this is a text view. This is a widget, which is used to display text, obviously. And over here on the right is the attributes pane. This contains the name of the widget. Right now it's called text view. We're in a constraint layout, so this says how everything is constrained. And then we have the attributes, like the text that's contained inside the box. You can change the color, you can change the size. There are a lot of attributes you can change, which we're going to go into in a different video. Now, here's something very important. Before you build or run a project, there are two things you have to change. First, this little thing that says Pixel, this is the device for preview. I'm going to change that. in this menu, I'll go down to the virtual device, and I'm going to pick my Nexus 5X API 29. All right, so that's the device I'm going to use. However, whatever device you select here in the device for preview, you need to put the same device, the same exact device in this menu up here, where right now it says Nexus 10 API 22. Since I selected Nexus 5X API 29 in the preview, I will also select Nexus 5X API 29 because this selection determines what device is displayed when you actually run or execute your project. So it's very important to have this preview and this menu for when you run the project. They need to be the same. You need to have the same device here and here. Okay. In order to build your project, which means compile, you click the hammer icon, which says Make Project. What you want to do whenever this happens is you always want to look at the bottom middle of Android Studio. You see we have a little circle that's rotating around, says Gradle Build Running. Again, I cannot emphasize this enough. Nothing happens quickly in Android Studio, so always look at the bottom middle whenever you build or you run a project to see what your status is. If you want to look at some more detail, you can also come over here to where it says Event Log, and you can click that, and that brings up a status, a log window. Here it says Executing Tasks, and it will keep going until that build is finished. And the build just finished. It said it took 47 seconds to finish building. So that's the hammer for building. If you want to actually execute or run your project, you click the green play button. Now it's going to build the project again, but if you'll notice down here, hope you can see this. Now this error message doesn't mean anything. Not all error messages mean anything. Sometimes they do. Notice I got my device, my virtual device to show up. So this simulated cell phone is where you will see the results of your code. But once again, always look at the bottom middle. Don't worry about what shows up here in the virtual device. Always look at the bottom middle, waiting for all target devices to come online. As you can see, it's building a window. And once again, as you probably have already figured out, nothing happens quickly in Android Studio, so you must be very patient with this tool. I'm going to pause the video again and wait for this to finish. Okay, it's been about 2 minutes since I paused the video, and here is the result of running the app. There's Hello World right in the middle. Once again, nothing happens quickly, so you must be patient with this tool. And this is how you create and run a simple app in Android Studio. If you have any questions, please send me an email at kmuldrow@lbcc.edu.